SITREP World Briefing for August 26, 2026. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu ordered the military and other security agencies to mount an immediate rescue operation after gunmen attacked a mosque in Niger State, Nigeria, and abducted worshippers during prayers. Tinubu also directed security forces to track down the attackers and said the government would not allow armed groups to terrorize communities with impunity. The assault in north-central Nigeria highlighted how mass kidnappings have spread beyond the country's northeast insurgency zone and into rural communities where bandits have repeatedly targeted civilians, schools, roads, and places of worship for leverage and ransom. The mosque attack in Niger State highlighted the security challenge facing Tinubu's administration in a region that sits between Nigeria's northwest banditry belt and the federal capital area. Armed gangs in this corridor have relied on motorcycle raids, forest hideouts, and coordinated kidnappings to seize hostages faster than local security units can respond. By ordering a rescue operation at once, Tinubu placed the incident among the government's urgent domestic security tests, because abductions during religious gatherings affect communal life and public confidence in state protection. The outcome of the operation will be watched across central and northern Nigeria, where communities have demanded stronger federal action against large-scale kidnappings. Iran and Oman held talks in Tehran on managing traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, including discussion of a temporary corridor and a joint mine-clearing project, as regional governments sought to restore shipping through one of the world's major energy choke points. Qatar said its officials were working daily with the parties to revive U.S.-Iran contacts and urged Tehran to reopen the waterway and restore freedom of navigation. The effort brought together 3 Gulf states with direct stakes in the strait's security, commercial shipping, and regional stability, and negotiations addressed practical and political issues. Omani and Iranian officials discussed how vessels could pass safely through the passage, and the mine-clearing element indicated that restoring confidence for commercial operators may require operational measures as well as diplomacy. Qatar's mediation linked the maritime issue to efforts to restart U.S.-Iran negotiations. The Strait of Hormuz carries a large share of seaborne oil and gas exports from the Gulf, and disruptions can affect insurance costs, tanker routing, and global energy prices. Further negotiations are expected after the Tehran meeting, with a central question being whether Iran will move from discussion to a verified reopening of the route. Oman has served as an intermediary between Iran and Western governments, and Qatar has positioned itself as a channel for regional diplomacy. The outcome may depend on whether maritime safety arrangements are matched by a political understanding that reduces the risk of confrontation between Tehran and Washington. For importers, exporters, and shipowners, the question is whether tankers can resume predictable passage through Hormuz without military incident. The United States and Denmark pushed the UN Security Council to expand the existing arms embargo on Darfur so that it would apply across all of Sudan, arguing that the country's war threatens wider regional stability. The initiative was presented as a response to a conflict that has spread beyond Darfur, with Washington calling for tougher UN sanctions as fighting continues between Sudan's rival military forces. The Security Council debate reflects the view that the Sudan war is a humanitarian emergency and a diplomatic test for the UN system. An embargo limited to Darfur was designed for an earlier phase of Sudan's crises, but the current conflict has affected larger parts of the country. By acting jointly, the United States and Denmark are seeking to slow the flow of weapons into a conflict that, they argue, could destabilize the Red Sea corridor, Chad, South Sudan, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the Horn of Africa. What happens next will depend on whether Security Council members agree that the scale of Sudan's war justifies a broader legal regime on arms transfers. Supporters say a nationwide embargo would not end fighting by itself, but would raise the political cost of external supply lines and could strengthen future monitoring and enforcement efforts. The U.S.-Denmark push signals that some governments view the conflict as too dangerous to treat as a localized emergency centered only on Darfur, and the proposal aims to address violence inside Sudan and prevent a deeper cross-border security crisis. Britain's energy regulator, Ofgem, said the household energy price cap will rise by 4% from October, pushing bills for millions of households to their highest level in 3 years. Ofgem said a household using a typical amount of gas and electricity will pay about $81 a year more, £60. The cap is the main benchmark for customers on default tariffs. The increase does not set every household's total bill at a fixed amount. Ofgem's cap limits the amount suppliers can charge per unit of gas and electricity for customers covered by it. So households that use more energy will pay more overall during the winter months. The distinction has been central to British energy policy since the surge in wholesale gas prices after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. With October's revision, the cap becomes a focal point for household budgeting, inflation expectations, and scrutiny of how quickly wholesale market movements are passed through to consumers. The timing is politically sensitive because the new cap takes effect as households prepare for peak seasonal energy use, and because energy costs remain a prominent measure of pressure on living standards in the United Kingdom. A rise to a 3-year high indicates the market has not returned to the lower, more stable pricing environment many consumers had expected. For policymakers, suppliers, and consumer advocates, the October change will be monitored for its effect on arrears, switching behavior, and demands for further support if wholesale prices stay elevated into the winter. SpaceX said on Tuesday that it will build a $100 billion rocket launch facility in southern Louisiana, United States, which the company described as its biggest site yet. The project, announced for a large coastal tract in Louisiana, is intended to expand launch capacity beyond SpaceX's existing operations and to support future missions centered on its next-generation rocket program. The company said the size of the investment would place the plan among the largest single infrastructure commitments tied to the commercial space sector in the United States. The company said the Louisiana complex is aimed at backing Starship operations and is expected to begin sending rockets to space in 2029. SpaceX said Starship has become central to its long-term launch strategy, with the company seeking a vehicle capable of carrying heavier payloads and supporting more frequent missions than its current Falcon family. By placing a major new facility on the Gulf Coast, SpaceX is signaling that it expects demand for launch services, satellite deployment, and associated industrial capacity to keep rising through the end of the decade. For Louisiana, the announcement indicates a bid for a larger role in the U.S. space economy, which has long been concentrated in states such as Texas, Florida, and California. A project of this size would ordinarily involve years of permitting, transport upgrades, workforce recruitment, and environmental review before full operations begin. SpaceX said launch sites have become strategic industrial assets because they anchor manufacturing, testing, logistics, and satellite programs in one regional hub over many years. Sources and the full written briefing are available at sitrepbrief.com.